Hello, my name is Tracey Marks. I live in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and I've created a simple little homemade jig to help me to assemble clipper blades. The way it works is this. You lay down your clipper parts just as you normally would on this flapper here, and when you assemble them, you oil them, assemble them, and you close the flapper here. There's a piece of foam that holds everything together for you. So you clamp it into place, and when you flip it over, you don't have to worry about anything moving. And after you get it flipped over, the threads are lined up perfectly, so you can drop your screws in and get them started. It does three things for me. Number one, it saves a little bit of time on getting those screws started because it's easy to fumble the flip process. Number two, it saves a little bit of strength in the fingers and dexterity required just if you're doing a lot of them, because there's less strength required to hold everything together. And number three, it also saves just a little bit of time on getting the setback of the cutter blade just right, because with this device, oftentimes it's just right, or it just takes a small tweak to get it to the correct setback. So it saves a little bit of time there. It's not a huge savings, but it does save a little bit of time, and it's a little bit easier. Let me show you a little close-up on how it works so you can see for yourself if you think it's a good idea. All right, here's how I use the assembly jig. First I lay down the post that I have, and I set the assembly jig over the post. Next step is to place the comb on the post. Drops into place. Lay down my cutter, the spring socket. At this point I would do the oiling. Not going to do it in this case. Once I've done the oiling, set the cutter in place, and then I drop the spring socket over the post as well. And it usually will drop into place. The next thing I do is I look really closely at the cutter, and I slightly move it up or back to the precise setback I want. There's no guarantee that it'll stay there, but often it stays really close. It saves me some time there. I close the flapper and gently squeeze. There's a little bit of flexibility to the wood, and I attach the clamp. At this point, the post, sometimes it falls out, sometimes you take it out, but now you can see that the screws are exactly aligned, the threads. So I just drop in the screw, give it a couple of finger tightening, drop in the second one. At this point, my left hand is just gently holding. It's not requiring any dexterity. Now I give it the screws a little bit more finger tightening than I would if I didn't have this jig, because I'm going to trust that the setback is pretty close. I'll take it apart, and then I look at the setback. At this point, I would do my normal adjustments to get the setback exactly right, and then I tighten it down. To make this, I use some 3/16" plywood. These two pieces are about 8 inches by 2.5 inches. There's a couple pieces of foam here, kind of a high density foam. Need a hinge, clamp, and this comb was a broken comb, and I put a couple bolts through it and cut them off about 1/2 inch is how far it sticks up. Rounded off the edges a little bit to make the post easier to drop through the holes, and getting them the right length is probably the thing that takes some precision. They can't be too long or too short.